Misfortune Games.
Alright, so it's been a few months since I've done a video, mostly because there's been a lot of stuff going on in my life. I mean, if you read the Patreon post, it's basically an end of the year post that was talking about a lot of what's going on. But the short of it is that we're locked out of our bathroom. We're in a two-bath apartment. And apparently there was mold, and it just turned into a whole fiasco, and now they're charging us for it. So that's really about it as far as that goes. Then there's work and just the holidays and stuff like that. So for this one, I'm going to recreate this, basically, the magazine cover that I made for the original character, who I've since remodeled, as you can see here. Mostly the same, but some, facial structure features there, obviously. Just little stuff like that. Anyway, I thought people might be interested in this part of it, not so much this, because it's obviously pretty easy, just a drape and the model herself. But the gist of it is that I'm just going to do her once on the background as is, and then do a PNG with no background, so you can get this kind of look on the title here. But that's the only rendering we'll be doing. I'll do the lighting, some post work on that, and just, show the process. But generally something like this, in a photo manipulation context, is going to have the original model, and then you cut out the model. And usually you can be pretty half-assed because the original one's behind it. I mean, you still want to do pretty well, but since you're using Daz, you can just render the PNG out and then the original file behind it. So it makes it a little easier. You don't have to worry about cutting anything out if you're not that great with Photoshop. Or you can go out of your way, or you can go and just purchase this, or something like this. And then it'll make your life a little easier. Anyway, I have it kind of set up, and you might notice on the original image there, she's not clothed. But for YouTube's sake, I'm gonna leave her clothed while I'm lighting the video. Just to avoid the breaking the rules. So I don't have any lighting right now. Speaking of which, let's just turn that on real quick. There we go. So what I have here right now is just the draped lighting, or not the lighting, but the drapes, which you already kind of saw here from a low flame. Excuse me if I'm mispronouncing that. Anyway, so I just have a pretty bright spotlight. It's big with a big, I think it's a focal distance or spread angle. Okay. Excuse me, focal distance is for the camera. So as you can see, it's pretty big and pretty bright, but I have the intensity turned down some. I have a second kind of camera to move around if I need to. So what I'm going to do is return the clothing. I already did that. Thought I didn't. Anyway. So what I'm going to do here first is I'm going to make another spotlight. You can just copy the camera viewport. Or you can just apply default and move it where you need to. I might adjust the posing before you see the final though. We'll see. This is just as is for now. But anyway, just grab this spotlight here. I'm gonna rename this just so I know which one it is. Just call it drape light. Let me move my phone here, so I'm kind of in the way. So we can do this in a number of ways. What I'm thinking of doing is going a little higher here and then kind of pointing it back behind her so she's not taking the brunt of the lighting. But first we need to kind of adjust the spotlight first. And turn that to a rectangle. Go. Just gonna make that. I'm just gonna turn that all the way up to make it pretty cold. I'm gonna go pretty soft here. Let's try 100. 800. I'm gonna go. Let's try 85,000. Drop shadow, or not drop shadow. Depth of field. Been working with too much Photoshop lately. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Maybe a little too harsh right now, but let me try it, moving it over. Let's try 120 by 120. So I really don't want any light on this side of the face here, so we'll just back over a little bit this way. Shouldn't need much. Go back to like 90. Can always play with the intensity later. Might put up another spotlight here later, kind of highlight the hair a little bit. But for now, you can name this whatever you want. Key, main, doesn't really matter. I usually do I usually just do numbers just because I don't know, it makes it easier to know the order of importance. So 1 is my main light, 2 is the secondary light, or, you know, the key fill, depending on your light source or your lighting technique. It becomes a little trickier if you're using multiple figures in one scene, though. So you might do like 1 John Doe, and then 1 Jane Doe, 2 John Doe, 2 Jane Doe, something like that. I need to turn that down a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy that initial spotlight. Let me go look at that real quick just for reference. Okay, so I had looks like a rim and something going on over there. I mean, that might be the same one. Oops. So open that back up. Alright. So what we're going to do here is go behind her. Right now I'm just looking to highlight the hair for the most part. Without eliminating over here. I'm going to do is lower her a little bit. And move her back, or yeah, back. And then up again. Alright. Readjust this a bit. Let's try 75,000. That for now. So what I'm gonna do with this rim light, or whatever you want to call it, just gonna move it behind her a bit. And I'm just gonna change the height and width to about 10. Feel free to play around with that. Just remember that bigger it is, the softer it'll be. The smaller it is, the harsher it'll be, so, which in this case works. And moving this a little this way. Sorry for the dog barking. If you can hear that, probably can. Actually, kind of like that. We can turn that down a little bit though. Let's try 65,000. I can always kind of edit this stuff in post, so I usually leave it a little dimmer than I probably should. At the end of the day, it's really up to you. And stuff like this little light here and here, I'll probably just black out in Photoshop. Alright, so I'm gonna actually, you know what? See if I can leave that and then add another one. Move it over here a bit. A little more even spread. One second. Alright. Where was I? Okay. So let's rename that. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this same spotlight. Just gonna copy it. And what I'm gonna do is make this one a little smaller. Let's try 40. Might even go a little smaller than that. Move this way. Just a little bit back. I'm gonna take the corneas here. I'm just gonna add a little top coat to them. Ain't gonna do much probably, but especially in this lighting. Again, you don't really want to do anything like depth of field here. Just because you're gonna be doing separate layers, so I think that about covers it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna adjust some of this here and make sure it looks good in this lighting. And then after I and then I'm gonna render these out, and then I'll take this to Photoshop. So ooh, that was noisy. I don't know where that's coming from. Welcome to America. Alright, so see you after these finish rendering. Alright, so everything's all rendered now. I made a few changes since you last saw it, specifically with the lips and the specular lobe roughness. 1 in this case, didn't really touch this. And I think a little bit on the face, not much. I think it was at 80 before, or 0.80. And there's a bit of a breast morph here. So impact, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I believe I got it from the Heavy Hitter bundle by Scorepeg. It's free on Render Hub. So I did it right there for the left and right one. And basically it looks like it's spilling over. More so on this one, as you'll see. I believe that was all I fixed on that. That was not recorded. So now that we're done with that, I already have Photoshop open. This is the original, so now you're gonna kind of see where things kind of went. So the original here and the PNG over it. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna start with the original one with the drapes behind the model. And this is why I render it in 4K, so I can have room to kind of zoom in, even though it's not even close to 4K. If I'm not mistaken, the document is... There you go. In case you're curious. So what I'm going to do is kind of get it pretty close to the original. It's probably obviously not going to be exact because the poses are a bit different. Okay, that's actually pretty good. A little more. and drop it down, left, couple keystrokes. Now, another reason I have this open is I'm just going to bring everything over. So we're going to start with the title of it, the blood and ink, and then the ampersand, and this, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, okay. Actually, you know what? What I'm going to do is I'm going to edit, copy, and then I'm going to go to edit, paste special, and then paste in place. This gives me a better idea of where to put things. So I'm going to scoot this over a bit. Kind of make it a little bit smaller. Kind of go back over here. And then we can bring in the PNG. And then we just kind of size it up. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna kind of redo this. What I'm gonna do is just bring them both in. And that way I can select them both. Control click or control left click, and then I'll do a control T. So this way I can get them exactly right. And both matched up where I need them. Kind of look at that. Alright, because it didn't register. Okay, do that again. And that'll work for now. Pretty close. Okay. Go up just a little bit. No. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to bring this second layer and drag it to the top. And what that's going to do is kind of put it around. It's going to put them in between to put the text there. Now what I'm going to do is grab the blood layer. I'm going to do a layer mask here. Going to go to our brush and grab a soft brush there. I'm just going to lower the opacity, something like 60. And you're just going to want to flip these on a layer mask. So black's going to take away. Oops, wrong layer. See this, and then actually let me just start the corner here. It'll be easier. And then you have your black there, and then when you turn it to white, X is the shortcut key there, by the way. Now white's gonna restore. So if you need to fix something. So what I'm gonna do is start with black, and I'm gonna zoom in to the blood here. I'm just gonna kind of make it look kind of behind her, so Gonna get a little shadow there. Just a couple clicks, you don't need to drag. And kind of go back with the white on it with a smaller brush and kind of restore it to points. And again, you can just kind of zoom out, and then we need to start over. So I'm gonna do it a little bigger here. Kind of make it a little smaller so I can kind of get that a little more. That right there as well. And then I'm going to do the same with ink. Or alternatively, you could just, I'm just going to disable these for a second. You take this here, zoom out so you can see a little better. So we can just add a drop shadow here. And since everything else is black, you won't be able to see it. And if I'm not mistaken, that might have been what I did here, but there's multiple different looks here and how you can get them. So in this case, it might be a little much. So what you want to do here is probably do a drop shadow and then lower the opacity if you want to do it this way, that is. Which I think I might. And then you could also just make this a you can just make this a separate layer. So now you have your drop shadow as a separate layer. And say for example I want to get rid of this strand of hair, the drop shadow behind this hair here. You just layer mask that away. I want to be up to 100 on that. Just make your life a little easier. Or you can do a mix of both. So from there, so now we have these here. You can do different ways. I think I'm doing something different for this one just because they're kind of bad quality, especially once you zoom in. Kind of see the pixelation around them. So I have a brush. See how that looks. I'm gonna grab a white brush here. Just gonna close this and this. I think those were the brushes I used there though. Or not. And so what I'm thinking about doing here, a little too much black for my taste. So what I'm kind of doing here is just filling it up. And then just kind of, what I'm going to do is I'm going to layer mask that. And then drop the opacity. So that way I can kind of fade it as I want. But I don't know if that's going to work. Yeah. Didn't work out very well. Let me see what else I have. Let's take a look at this. Oop. That's not going to help very much. That actually works pretty well. Alright. Not sure what font I used here. So let me oh, that's right. It's not a font. I don't think. Yeah, it doesn't look like it. So what I did there was I basically took the text and then layer masked. I selected the text and then I did a layer mask on it, which I think I'll do again here. So, what font did I use there? Let's see what I got. Actually, first we're gonna do a Control T. I'm gonna give it a slight warp. Just gonna incline it there. Alright, actually looks pretty good. Alright, so we got text. Let's do a feature. Obviously gonna make that quite a bit smaller. And get rid of the kerning for now. So let's see what we have. I think might have been this. Honestly, have no idea. Want something readable, but something a little more, how to say, lively. See how that looks. It's already got a bit of a good look seeing that. Alright. That might work pretty well actually. If only it was a little longer. So, So let's see how that looks. I'm gonna control left click on that. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna hide it, and then I'm gonna go down to the layer that I put underneath it, this paint layer. And then what I'm gonna do there is go to select inverse, or control shift I, and then I'm just gonna hit layer, and I'm gonna hit the layer mask button there. So now you have that. So I might have updated the color on this, so I'll have to look for it. So you could always play around with this if you want to. And you could do some kind of drop shadow with a different color here, which I might do actually. I mean, more of a something that kind of more matches the color here. So there we go for that. I'm just gonna bring this up a little bit more. And naturally, as you see in the other one, they're gonna get a bit smaller. So it's not really necessary. So give me a second to look for this, if I still have it. If not, I'll just use this and just fix the color. Alright, I guess I didn't. So just keep it as is. Might make it a little smaller though. Or bigger for that matter. What I'm gonna do is adjust the Dean here. Just bring it under a little more. Same with the Phoebe. And I'm gonna add a drop shadow. Alright, works. So what I'm gonna do is bring that here. I have no idea why it's lagging so hard right now. Let me close this real quick. Okay, so that's better. Let's now make that a little bigger. And still being problematic, but whatever. Fix it if needed. Alright. Alright, so I'll add this. Oh, if I'm not mistaken, what I can do is just Control J. Bring it up here. I'm gonna hold down Shift and just move this down. And we'll make that smaller. Might end up scaling up everything here. We'll see. So what I'm gonna do with this is I'm gonna delete the layer mask. That's gonna kind of reset it. So many ways. Now from there, we can just turn that featuring text back on. And just bring it down here. Someone's being loud out there. Oh. So I'm gonna take that featuring and I'm gonna change that to plus. Make that just a little bit smaller so it fits on there. Actually, you know what? I'm just gonna make the back of it a little bigger. A little brush stroke there. Do that first. So I can go to select, inverse. We're going to just do shift control I. Actually, I think you want to have the layer selected. I don't know if that matters or not. And then you just layer mask it again. Just make sure that's readable at that size. Yeah, it's readable enough. Especially for how quickly it's going to be shown. But again, you can go a little smaller if you want, probably. And you always have room just to make it bigger again. So, I'm gonna take the names here. These are all fictional names, as far as I'm aware. Gonna change one. I'm just probably gonna change one of these here. Edit, copy, edit, paste special, paste in place. Yeah, again, there's probably gonna be room to make these bigger. Keep them lined up for now. Just make life easy. I'm changing one of the names just at the it was spider. So that made life pretty easy. Still might change the font, but that'll be something I do afterwards. And then again, so we can just take our plus layer here, do a Control J, move it to the top just like the other one. Just we're gonna delete the layer mask. We're gonna zoom in again. Might have to be a little bigger than the other one. Whoops. Now I'm just gonna hit Control Shift and then drag down. And this one, do a Control T. we go. So it ends up looking pretty good there. Alright, so turn that off. Select that. Select inverse. Layer mask. And there we go. So actually, you know what? Do that again. Alright. Again, fake band names, if you're under that name and you have issue, you can reach me in a number of places if you happen to be in a band with that name. But again, so what I'm going to do, these are all a group already. They're not. For the rest of them, and that's for that. Okay. So we're going to go to edit, copy, edit, paste special, paste in place. End up having a lot of room left over. Those centered? No, they weren't. So I'm gonna take these two here and just center them. Looks a little better. I'm gonna take those two new ones and scoot those over. There it is. See if that works. Okay, that actually ended up working pretty well. Been a while since I used that. Alright, so we'll start with this. Probably a little too close. Oh, Photoshop is not playing very nice right now. Anyway. So at this point, I'm just kind of filling up space. If you have more to add, that's probably something you wouldn't do. But and then we can drop those two down. Let's go just to the right a little bit. We can move that up. Now I'm gonna control left click both of these and just do the same. And go up. And probably start to bring it all down a little bit. edit, copy, and just do the same. Paste special, paste in place. Probably serve to make that a little bigger. Again, it's just like some fake trademark icon or something. Doesn't really matter. So what I would do from here, we're gonna avoid all the images in the title here. Or not, you can leave it. It's really up to you at the end of the day. But avoid all this. Okay, I'll start there. Just go down all the way down. Unselect that because don't want to select that. I'm just bringing all this down a little bit just to kind of fill up space. Alright, so what I'm going to do now is Control Shift A. So now that we have this, I can kind of zoom in a little bit just to avoid being on YouTube's bad side. Everything else I can just do from adjustment layers. Just out of curiosity, see how that looks on that. Oh, okay. Oops. Okay, now let's try it. Why are you being a problem child? Alright, you know what? I'm gonna edit, copy edit settings, cancel, since we already have it. I'm just gonna do a Control Shift A. And then, why is it? Guess it must have processed more than I thought. Alright. Works the one off. Oh, that's why. Okay. Swear to God, for as smart as Photoshop can be, sometimes it's really dumb. Alright, so. What I'm going to do is add a color balance layer. Add a clipping mask. What's it called? Trying to blink on the name for it right now. I think it's clipping mask though. Just gonna add a little touch of I don't know. What the hell is that? This is annoying. Sorry if you're catching all that. It's kind of loud. People are being loud. Yeah, it looks pretty good. It's kind of. There we go. A little bit more. People are asking, like, what's the point when you can barely see it? Well, it's every little bit that counts. Alright, so what I'm going to do is Control Shift in. I'm going to go to Overlay. Not going to hit none. I'm not going to touch that. I don't know if you can do that with a clipping mask or not, but anyway, we'll do that for now. And I'm going to do it again. I'm going to go to Overlay. And then just fill it with a neutral color. And then we're going to make that a clipping mask too. So we're going to start with this one. And make sure it's white. Go back to a regular soft brush. I do usually do like 10 or 11%. And I get up close and look for the highlights. So usually when I'm doing this, I have my fingers on the left and right bracket key. And the left one makes it smaller, right makes it bigger. I think I've probably gone over this technique before, but anyway. So I've got like the highlight on the nose there. Get that. Stuff for like these long streaks, I usually just do like the middle point or one of the ends. So kind of like right there. In this case, you can kind of brighten the eyes a bit, or eye in this case. And if you want, you can even take it a step further, create a new layer. And depending on, I got a lot of brushes in here, give me a second. I usually use this for like kind of depth catchlights, where you want something more than a circle, couple circles. So if you're gonna want to make your brush a little stronger, usually just go to 100 here. Like that. You might need to you know, make a layer mask. Grab something there, you know, like right there in that corner, because that probably will stick out. Just kind of grab it like that. Now you zoom all the way out, it might be a little bright. Kind of just lower the opacity. And there you go. It's a pretty good catchlight. So, where was I? Okay. Go back to. We're gonna go back to this layer and bring us back to 10%. Sure it's on white. And then again, we just go for the highlights on this layer. So like the lip here. You're gonna want a soft brush. Me on the lip up here. Again, there's kind of obvious ones here that might already be a little too bright in this case. Just a click or two, probably do the trick. Like the arm right here. Just the brightest points. You don't want to do like the whole arm. Like that. Oh, excuse me. Like right here. A little bit of a reflection in our cleavage. Up in there. Probably don't have too much else around here, just given how dim the lighting is. Bit right there, just kind of get bigger. I'm probably gonna end up censoring this, just so I avoid YouTube's wrath. Go a little bit here, maybe. And then the hair. Again, you could do your hair on a separate layer for more control. In this case, since the hair is so bright, there's not a ton to do, but like right here, right there, right there, because it goes nice with the dark around it. And just follow the highlights that are there, if they need them, because like right here, this doesn't need it. And just the highest points of the hair you want to catch. Something like this can get a little tricky just because there's so much of it kind of interlaced with each other. But wherever there's some light, you probably just highlight down here. Get that cheek there. Looks pretty good. It's easy to go overboard with this, so you just kind of tend to want to be more careful, especially with the hair. So now you can either use the same thing and just go with a black brush, or you can use a burn down here, just doing kind of the same thing. Usually leave mine at like 12 or 13. So for this, I'll probably end up using a little bit of both. So the one thing that's bugging me like right here is this lip. So kind of that light crack there. So you kind of just want to make it a little less noticeable. A bit of a fade to that. And you can add some contrast just by contouring the shadows created by the hair here. Go through the hair here. Go down here too. Down there. Look down there. Just kind of give some contrast to the light. Just resize your brush as needed. Got a lot more shadow going on down here. Matter of fact, probably just gonna kind of darken this a little more. For obvious reason. So now I'm going to go to this other one here, and I'm going to start using that dodge. This one is going to be for the more subtle bright spots. So like right here, I'll go with the forehead. Down here on the jaw and chin. Oh. Here on the neck. Again, you can kind of turn this down if it ends up being a little much. I'll turn that down a little too. And then one thing I might usually do, where is this? Oh, it's a catchlight. Okay. Take a hue saturation. Sometimes just kind of play with the brightness. Kind of helps blend a little bit after doing all that kind of lighting and all that lighting and shadowing. And play with your saturation too. if you do something like that, it'd be good to kind of keep your color where it's at, like in the eye. That is assuming you go that route. There you go. That's about it on this one. Is there anything I want to mention? Yeah, again, keep an eye out for that second visual novel I'm working on if you haven't already seen it, or anywhere I've posted about it. I do have another video coming around soon. It's just another it's a reiteration of that older Postwork video I did. This one goes in a little more depth, obviously, because I'm able to talk through it at this point. Can kind of explain what I'm doing, the logic behind it, and the process behind it. I'll take you through how I fix certain things to poke through, or even noise. Maybe that's actually a pretty good one. Stuff like like the cracks in the hair from the hair. If you forgot to fix it in Daz, which is pretty easy to do, but easy to forget too. So, where's that coming from? Alright, yeah, so that's probably gonna be the next one around, or coming up, probably in the next week or two. Gotta find a little time to slip that in. Yeah, I think that's all I really wanted to say about that. If there's anything else you'd like to see, again, feel free to comment, or message me anywhere on social media. I'll try to get back as soon as I can on that, if I can do it.